Hi students, so this is your last week and it's almost the last day. So today we're going to talk about a presentation on presentations. As you can see, today I am speaking to you in front of a camera because it's about presentations. So not only will I tell you what you should do and what you can do in your presentations, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, now there are rooms to make mistakes, maybe even now, but you will have rooms to make mistakes and you can learn from those, okay? So when you give your presentation this Friday, or you record yourself and send it on Canvas, I am not looking for a perfect presentation. In fact, I would not expect one. Actually, what I'll be looking for is that you try to apply the skills that you learned this week, and you apply some things that you may have learned in the past to share what you have learned. So today's lecture and presentation is going to be about how to make a presentation. I'll do this in two parts. So the first part will focus on the how of giving a presentation, and then the next part would not have the video, but it will just show you the ways you can make your presentation better. Okay? So here we go. So the first step in the presentation is to tell the audience what you're going to tell them. So, like this presentation, you can see on the screen the things that we're going to talk about in today's lecture. So those would be the hooks and organization, the content, the presentation skills, the visuals, questions and answers, and then your assignment and homework. In the first part, we'll focus on the first 5 things. So that's hook and organization, your content, your presentation skills, and your visuals. Okay? So now that I've told you what I'm going to talk about, it would help you understand or be ready for what I'm about to say next. So in your presentation, I'm also looking for that. I'm looking for a short introduction, a hook, to tell me what you're going to talk about. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so when you organize your presentation, there are 3 things that you can do. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is tell the audience what you're going to tell them. And that's your introduction. So, for example, today I'm going to tell you about presentations. I am giving a presentation on presentations. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, I would tell them. Tell them the things that you want to share. It's not an introduction anymore, so you have more details. So, if you were giving reasons in an argumentative essay, you would tell them what the reasons are and explain those reasons. Number 3, the last part, is to conclude, to summarize, and tell them what you just told them. What I mean is, you've introduced the topic, okay, and you've given your thesis statement. You have explained your reasons, and you supported your reasons. And the last thing you want to do is to summarize your argument. Just like a presentation where you've given your explanation, you want to remind the audience what you just told them. Because let's say if it was a 5-minute presentation, people might forget after 3 minutes, after the 4th minute. So you would remind them again. Okay, so the 3 parts again are introduction, tell them what you're going to tell them. The body, tell them. And then tell them what you just told them, the conclusion. So if you divide your presentation in those 3 parts, you have a good basic structure to share what you know. Okay? Alright, so you got your 3 big parts, okay, which is based on your term paper. How are you going to talk about it from one part to another and not pause too much or don't know what you're going to say next? Well, that's where we have transitions. The transitions you can use are words that would help you think about what you're saying next without actually thinking, because you already know the transition. Think of it as a script. So take a look at the first one. It says, in this presentation, I will argue that. Well, this line you can use for any presentation. What changes is what you say afterwards. Well, maybe this time you're arguing about the legalization of marijuana, or how to survive in the wild, or the trade wars, or discrimination against the Chinese in Canada. Whatever it is you're arguing about, that's your topic. But the first couple words, in this presentation, I will argue that you can use for any presentation. It's like the knives or the cooking pots that you have when you cook. Those stay the same much longer, and you know how to use those. What changes is the food, the ingredients that you cook. Like your topic, that's the food that you're making, okay? So all of these lines that you see in this presentation, I will argue that legalization of marijuana is not a good idea, okay? Because, I don't know, 3 reasons. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then notice the next lines are scripts that you can use based on the term paper that you have. So for example, the next line, first I'm going to review some important terms you will need to know. Well, that's your second part, your overview of general facts. So these important terms are important because it would help you explain to the reader or the audience what you're talking about. They might not know about the legalization of marijuana. They might not know about discrimination against the Chinese in Canada. They might not know about how to survive in the wild, certain concepts or techniques. So you would explain those things before you give the reasons of why it is important, or why it's a bad idea, or why we should use it or consider it. Okay? Again, the script. First, I'm going to review some important terms that you will need to know. Then you list the terms. Okay? We'll try the next one. Next, there are a variety of viewpoints on this topic. I would like to introduce the most important opposing view, that is something. Well, maybe you think that legalizing marijuana is a bad idea, but let's face it, in Canada, it is legal, and there are people, a lot of people, that would say, no, it's a totally perfect idea. It's great that we have legal marijuana now. And then you would have to tell them what that is. You might say the same thing. Oh, well, yeah, there are people that say, oh, okay, the discrimination against the Chinese is not so bad now as it was before. Whatever it is, you're using the script to say the next part. So if you read these before I go on too long, which can be a problem, those sentences would help you organize your presentation. So you can actually make a script based on these lines. I'm pointing at the screen, but just look at the mouse. So use these lines in each part and just fill in the blanks with your parts in the essay. So thesis statement here, some important terms here, the opposing view here. Again, the opposing view, while some people believe that the opposite of your thesis statement, I maintain that, well, your thesis statement, okay? The first reason is, well, whatever your first reason is. The next point, well, that's your next point. The last point, well, that's your last point. And then to wrap up, well, you kind of restate your thesis and summarize your main 3 points again, okay? So use these transition words in your presentation. This is the preparation part. You prepare by writing a script that you can follow. And it's okay to use a script. You might sound like you're reading a script, but that's practice, okay? I had to learn 5, 10 years to use scripts and maybe find new ones and add on, but you can do it, okay? So I'm expecting you to just try using those words to help you sound smoother, okay? And make sure you have each part in there. So use it as a checklist too. All right, so more information about the content. Use those transition words to make sure you have every part in your presentation. So that's your completeness part, okay? So if you use all these transition words to make your presentation, great. You've talked about everything that the term paper has, all the work that you've done. Great. Great. That's good. That's complete. All right. Clarity. Clarity is a little different from completeness. You can have the whole presentation, but if it's not clear, well, it's hard to understand. So yes, you can have your script, very good, okay? Make sure you fill in the parts that you want the audience to understand. So part of that to help you is to proofread your essay and make sure you only say the ideas that you want to say. If it's the introduction, just talk about the introduction. If it's your first reason, talk about for your first reason only, okay? Again, clarity takes practice. Yes, you might have grammar problems. Yes, you might have sentence structure problems, but you're going to practice that over time. So don't worry if it's not perfect this time. Make sure you try your best to say what you want to say. The ideas come first. Next, think about the audience that you're speaking to. In this case, it will be me, your instructor. But think of it as someone who doesn't know about your topic. Someone around, college age, another student, not your friend, but someone who wants to know what you're saying. And that's important because if you just think it's me that's marking you and I'm all mean and harsh, you might get nervous and not talk so much. But think of it as you're talking to someone who wants to know what you say and you want to tell them. And remember though, it's an audience that doesn't know very much about the topic. That's why you need to explain it clearly. Number 4 and 5, balance and timing. Well, I'm going to show you this little chart right here. Okay, so if you see the box below with the presentation, we're going to use the 5-minute presentation. Okay, so in the 5-minute presentation model, there are 6 parts. Okay, so you got the 6 parts. Your introduction should only be half a minute long because you have 5 minutes. And use only 30 seconds. So again, focus on your thesis statement. Use the script. Today in my presentation, I will argue that something, legalization of marijuana is a bad idea, for example. Something like that. And that's already 10, 20 seconds. Okay? So you don't need to read out your whole introduction paragraph. That would take 2 minutes. So if you spend 2 minutes out of 5 on the introduction, you only have 3 minutes to talk about everything else. And that's no good. Okay? Spend 1 minute each on your topic. Okay? And part of that would have to be your, overview of important facts, your opposing view. So that might be 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and then you have your 3 reasons maybe. So that's another 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. So that's 3 minutes long. Okay? And then you have your conclusion, which is half a minute. So we're already at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, that's good because the last part is going to be your conclusion. Balance out your presentation. Your reasons are going to be the most content. It's going to give you the most content, okay? So make sure you spend more time talking about your reasons than you are going to spend time talking about the introduction. And that's a very common thing to do. You spend too much time. I spend too much time talking about things to introduce the topic, where I should just get to the point and say, today I'm going to argue that blah, blah, blah. Why? 1, 2, 3, and just focus on the reason. And that leads to the last part, timing. Yes, you can plan your presentation. You can even write a good script and say, oh, this is 30 seconds long, my introduction. And then I have my overview of facts, another 30 seconds. And then my body paragraphs, my reasons, 1 minute each, 1 minute each, 1 minute each. Great. But when you actually say it, you might go over time or you might go under time, depending on how much or how little you say, how fast or slow you say it. That changes your balance because of your timing. What I mean is, so if you practice your presentation, try not to say everything at once. What might end up happening is you're trying to remember everything and it's too big for you, so you can't say everything. try to break it down into 30 seconds, your introduction. Practice that maybe 3 times, 5 times, then take a break. Then practice the next part, your overview of general facts, another 30 seconds. 3 to 5 times, take a break. Opposing view, 30 seconds, 3 to 5 times, take a break. And you get the picture. Break your presentation into parts. So that way, you can put everything back together. This is much better than trying to do everything in one go. Just think of the films that you watch. They do takes, right? They don't record everything at once. Why should you try to say everything at once in your practice? Okay? So make sure you prepare in parts and then practice together smoothly, and then you're ready. So this week, make sure you leave enough time to practice your presentation after giving the paper. It takes years of practice to be able to just know what you're going to say and say it. You're not there yet. Sometimes I'm not there yet if I don't know what I'm talking about. So use the skills to break your presentation into parts. Use the scripts to know what you're going to say. And practice each part and then put them together. Okay? All right, the next part, presentation problems when you're actually talking with the audience. So you can see some pictures here. This one with the hand, and then the lady just moving hands in their pockets, and other pictures. Presentations are not easy. It's not only the knowledge, and it's not only talking, but you're talking to another person, or maybe you feel worse, talking to many people in front of them, okay? Some of you may be naturals at it, others may not be. You might be scared, and these are some of the problems that would show up. First one is your movements. Sometimes even I move my hands too much. What happens is you're looking at my hands instead of looking at me. Here. Or you're looking, but you're not listening anymore. Hand gestures are useful. They can help you talk about your points. You can count with your hands, for example. You can point to points that you say. You can point to yourself. You can point to the audience. You can give signals, like to sum up, to talk about something specific. Those are some ways you can use your hands. You will learn more as you go. If you don't know where to place your hands, like, okay, my hands are moving, I don't want them to move too much, maybe I'll put them in my pocket. No, don't do that. A good way to put your hands together, just put them together like this and place them, like, not like opera singing, but just put them by your waist somewhere. That way, your hands are relaxed, you're not standing with your hands by your sides. That's okay. Remember, just don't move them too much. It's very natural for some, but not to others. Which leads to the next picture. There are some gestures that are not professional. Putting your hands in your pockets, that's not very good. Crossing your arms, no good, okay? You might end up doing something like this. Oh man, what am I gonna... That's when you're really desperate. So again, some of this is common sense, you'd know. Again, try to look professional in your presentations, especially, if you're in business or in some sort of academic field. You're students, remember? So try to look the part. Next, there's another picture of the lady standing. I'll do this one first. Well, again, some of you might freeze and stand still. What happens when you freeze is you tense up, you get stiff and hard, or you get tired and you don't know what to say. Either way, it stops you from sharing what you know with the person you're talking to or people. So do move a little bit. Not too much, not like a dance, but just enough to move from place to place. And the idea is to help you relax your body so then you can connect and talk with the audience, okay? And one more picture before body gesture one before we move on to the other points. Sometimes you might not look at the audience. Like that picture there, that the person at the back. When you don't look at the audience, you break that connection. It's like trying to talk with someone face to face. Do you like it when someone turns away from you? No. This can be either you getting distracted or you being afraid, or you're doing something else. Either way, make sure you face the audience. Make sure you look at them a little bit, not too much, not like this is kind of creepy. No. So just enough is okay. Okay? All right. So when you speak, try to speak smoothly. Now, it's not the hardest thing to do, but it's not easy either. What I mean is, people use ums and ahs and nigga or whatever it is that in your language that you would use while you're thinking about what to say next. 2 reasons why this happens. 1, in the presentation, you haven't practiced enough. You don't know what to say. 2 is, well, it's the way you talk. It's the way that most people talk. They use whatever it is to help them think. Ums or ahs or just pauses. And I'm going to tell you, it's okay to pause. Just pause in ways that are not so obvious. So ums and ahs, and more obvious than just a second, like that. See? You can pause a little bit and say it again. It's totally okay. I'm exaggerating a little bit to show you even those are okay. Why? Because when you say something like people listen to the and they forget, oh, I'm talking. So you can pause a little bit. Simple way to pause is simply not talk. Think about what to say next. Again, even if it's 3 seconds long like this, it's still okay. Now, 10 seconds may be a little too long, okay? But again, the idea is pausing is okay. Just try not to speak while you pause with ums. Now, another thing I want to tell you is that, yes, it's hard to try not to say if you're so used to it. It's like trying to not use the letter E when you say something. It's very hard. Just be natural and try it. Practice. The more practice you use, the better it is. Okay? And the last one is, if you're talking, this one has a picture, blue picture here with a whole bunch of words and other pictures in there. It's too much at once. Okay? That's not clear. You may have lots you can talk about, but just focus on the most important points. One idea per slide, if you're using slides. Okay? 1 point per paragraph, 1 idea per slide, 1 picture per slide. Okay? Try not to have any more than 3 or even 2. Okay? When you have like 4 or 10, that's too many. It's like me talking like this all the time and it's really fast and I don't know what I'm talking about. It's too fast, too much. Slow down. You'll be fine. Slow down in your presentation. Say what you need to say only. Practice your presentation in parts and don't give up. You can do it. I'm not expecting the best presentation. I'm not expecting a perfect presentation, but I do want you to try the skills that you've learned in this class. Okay? And the last part, visuals, again, is very similar to what we talked about. If you're using visual aids like a PowerPoint, maybe in another course, but not this one, remember, 1 idea, 1 picture, 1 graph, or whatever it is, just 1 per slide. Okay, pick the most important piece of information per slide. Okay, sometimes even the pictures here, like the ones of the cow, you can see the numbers like 40% and 50%. You can, and 10% is kind of hard to read over there, right? And then the letters are even harder to read. You might focus on, oh, what's this picture about? And that's when you would need to explain what the picture is, okay? In this course right now, you may have an easier time not using visual aids. Because it's a 6-week course, you spent only a week or two actually researching about this topic. It's very intense and very fast. If you can prepare those visual aids, great. If you can't, that's okay. It's actually easier for you. Just tell me what you know and what you've done. If you do use pictures though, make sure to use the pictures that give the most important piece of information. And here it says, explain whatever you use. Why? You don't want to let the picture speak for you. The picture is going to help you. It should not replace you. That's the difference. It's a visual aid, not a visual replacement. Okay? It's the same way. I want to hear you talk. You don't have to give me the paper when you talk. I wouldn't have to listen to you. I'll just read your paper. But I want to see and hear what you know. And the visual aids would help you in that if you have some. Okay? So it can be images, it can be charts, it can be graphs. Maybe if you're doing the marijuana topic, well, maybe some charts about how many people use marijuana before and after the legalization, for example. And that's good enough. One comparison, before and after. You're going to show something, oh yeah, there's a lot more people using it now. Well, maybe you can show the crime rate. Oh, before and after the legalization. Well, maybe you find something that says, oh, the crime rate was this high when the legalization didn't happen. And then, oh, it's much lower now that marijuana is legalized. For example, I'm making it up. But it just shows the point. And people can see, oh yeah, it really has a difference. And you can explain that difference and what that means. Okay, so that's it for the presentation on presentations. That's part 1. Okay, so that ends the video portion. Again, just to sum up, okay, write your essay first. Finish that. Then you have something to talk about. Use the essay to organize your presentation and organize it based on the script, okay? So like in this essay or in this presentation, I'm going to argue that and all those items going down, and use each part and fill in the blanks. Next, practice in the 5-minute schedule, maybe 30 seconds each for everything except your body parts. Your reasons, those are 1 minute long. Practice in parts. Do one section at a time, and then don't give up. Just keep practicing. Practice in front of a mirror. Practice in front of a friend. Record yourself like you're doing now. You don't even have to look at yourself afterwards, but it really helps. It just makes you pay attention to, oh, okay, I'm moving too much. Oh, I'm not even looking at the screen. Or I say this word too much. Or I do this too much, or not enough. It really helps you think about how to present better next time, okay? And remember, it's practice. At the same time, it's the final part of your assignment, but I want you to practice and learn the skills that we're teaching in this class, so then you'll be ready for English 100, for whatever 100 level course you're doing, maybe psychology, sociology, whatever, or business presentations. All these skills that you learn in this course is going to really help you. Are going to help you. Anyway, that's it for the presentation. We talked about what presentation skills you can use and how to prepare for your presentation. We'll see you next time. If you have any questions, you can post them on Canvas or ask me through email. We'll see you this Friday for the final. Or if not, make sure you send in your assignment and also do the final on Canvas. Whichever one, we'll see you and wish you the best of luck.